Okay, Shalom. To give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, who do rule and teach well. This is Shema Shalom Ban Yehodah. And today I want to talk about Isaiah 21, 11, and 12. This is going to be a continuation of my Isaiah, the 21st chapter breakdown. And then the last part, 13 and 17, I'll come back, maybe tomorrow, and I'll talk about it if I don't talk about news or something else. But either or, I am going to repost some things in the news that I've seen kind of unfold, some updates about Israel, this whole Palestine war, things like that. Probably going to check out, what's his name, Alexander Mercurius, and then I'll, upload some stuff. So this is Isaiah 21:11. The burden of dumah. He calleth to me out of seer, watchman, what of the night, watchman, what of the night. Right, and this is speaking out of the perspective of this Edomite, calling out to him, like when you read here, it's speaking from the perspective of Babylonians, pretty much saying, hey man, these Persians are coming, the Median Persian army are coming. All right. So burden means prophecy, as we all know, but dumah, which I think this is dumah in the Hebrew, means silence. The town, the mountainous district of Judah near Hebron, right? So the Ishmael. I see a mystical name of Eden, indicating death and ruin, which makes me think of Revelation, the 6th chapter, right? And Esau's blessing. Man, all the scriptures that go into Esau, how he was quick to shed blood, and he didn't have fear of shedding man's blood, roughly paraphrasing. He hunted after his brother. He had no mercy and things like that. And I'm just talking about Edomites as a people. We know how literal, the ancient patriarch of Esau himself, he let Jacob go, but then in time, his sons, Amalekites, they would come after us, and we'd have battles with them and things like that, which is in Exodus, things like that, and there's all kinds of stuff. And we know how everything turned out in the end. Time of the Hasmonean dynasty, Antipater the Idumean backstabbed us. He was one of our generals, and he backstabbed the Hasmonean dynasty and fucked us over. Made a deal with Julius Caesar, and screwed us over big time. Before we get that, we're going to read the last part, and then we're going to come back. Verse 12, the watchman said, the morning coming also, and also the night. If you inquire. If you inquire ye, return, come. All right, so let's go check it out. Yeah, so this is enduringword.com. And let me see here. The burden against dumah. This was another ancient name for the kingdom of Edom in the mountainous region of Seir. The Edomites descended from Esau, their brother Jacob Israel. They settled on land to the southeast of Israel, and were sometimes the enemies of Israel, right? I think maybe we worked together once, only because it was in our best interest, to pretty much go against the Moabites, but we've always been enemies. That's our ancient enemy. And as you read about in the Bible dictionary, there's no promise of mercy to the children of Esau. He calls to me out of Seir. This is a vague, mysterious burden against dumah. It may speak to the confusion of darkness striking Edom at the time of their judgment. Tilma wrote of these verses, the brief burden has always been a great burden to expositors. Right? And this dumah is just let's see here, another name for Edom, which I think they're trying to say dumah. It's another name for Edom, but it is. It's a mystical name. I don't know the source for it, if it's, maybe long-standing tradition that maybe, survived in like rabbinical writings, or I don't know. Certain traditions and things that passed on in rabbinical writings may actually be, true and traditional, and maybe things that were said, years and years ago, but, really, really hard to say about a lot of that stuff. A lot of stuff is just fucking silly, and really has nothing to do with our people, but because the people writing that, I don't believe that they were our people. And a lot of that stuff, especially stuff that came out like the 2nd century AD, those guys are Edomites. But if you have stuff that goes back further than that, I think they could have written over it or altered some stuff, or I don't know, man. I listen, the elders don't get into that book. I'm not getting involved in that garbage. I saw what I saw about the pedophilia, and they said Adam had intercourse with all the animals before finding Eve, before the bullseye gave him Eve. Right? He said he, and even when they say that, gave him Eve or made Eve, the Lord didn't just make Eve out of like nothing after Eve was already alive. The Lord just, brought her to him. Just set it up for them to be together. It wasn't like the Lord just actually took one of his ribs and no. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. It's a figure of speech. It's has a symbolic meaning to it. Meaning that, she was someone who was of the same kin, same bloodline. She was one of the Adamites, so that same kindred and bloodline, same peoples. You could say they're kind of a proto-Israelite nation, if you want to say that. Proto-Israelite chosen people nation, Watchmen, Lord of the Night. Using a powerful dramatic scene of a cry to watchmen in the night, Isaiah paints a picture of the judgment and terror that will come upon Edom. On the burden against Edom, what he may be saying is that the long night of Assyrian oppression is almost over, right? Because Edom, we go into, was a vassal state of the Assyrians when you look into it. And the night of Babylonian rule would follow a brief morning of respite. Yeah, a brief, because the Babylonians actually allied with Esau a little bit, when you look it up in history, but then right after destroyed them, So I think they destroyed them 600 BC or something. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Look it up. But they destroyed them too. Like right after we got siege and things like that. And the fall of Jerusalem happened. Literally right after, they were screwed over too. Esau joined in with the destruction of the temple, the fall of Jerusalem, and it was Psalm 137, and then man, in First Ezra it says that Edomites burned down the temple, so they were involved in it, man. Even though certain historians like to say that Edom actually had nothing to do with it, no, they did, and then Esau himself got screwed over, and then that makes sense because earlier in Isaiah, the 21st chapter, said against the despoiler, against the treacherous one has dealt treacherously, right? Talking about Babylon. Babylon was a treacherous nation. They made an allyship with Edom and screwed them over in the end. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. And then I've heard other people when they say this one, well, the night, saying Babylon was a brief morning of respite. I've heard other people say that the night was the Babylonians and the morning was the Persians, which, the Persians really didn't have anything. They really didn't want anything to do with them, really. They just kind of like let them be. And then, we see in Esther, what's his name, the Melechite, was it Haman? Sometimes they say he's an Agagite. Which go back to Amalek. And then other times they say he's Macedonian. Or you put two and two together, then you see the Macedonians are Agagites or Amalekites, and all go back to Edomites. Now, were the original Macedonians Edomites? Hard to say, but all we know is that by the time they really start to appear in history, they've always been called, by according to Greek historians, noted by the other Greeks, Japhet as being kind of like a semi-barbaric state. So they were, at least the Greeks, they recognize the people of that land are not people that have always been there, like the Dorians and guys like that, They weren't guys that were in the first round trip, been here, got a family that been here, thousands of years, hundreds and hundreds of years, But, yeah, I've heard other people say that, but if you want to say that, and say that the morning would be the Persians. That didn't last long either because the Nabateans, which are Ishmaelites, they invaded Edom. they say in around the time of the Persians, they say that the Persians made a deal with the Arabs, Ishmaelites in that time. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all that. I'm pretty much said everything. So